Hello students, myself Professor Ankur. I welcome everyone for the GATE theory session on the topic of analog circuits. Today we are going to cover an important topic from multi-stage amplifier. This is our second session on multi-stage amplifier. Let's start with the session now. So before we actually start with the concept of cascade amplifier, we need to understand what we have seen in the previous session. In the previous session, we have seen the concept of cascade amplifier, where in the effect of multi-staging, output of the first amplifier will work like an input for the second and so on. So the amplifiers were connected back to back. Now, cascade amplifier is also a two-stage amplifier, which can be made from a combination of transconductors amplifier and a buffer, and any other combination is also possible. So now when we talk about the cascade amplifier, why they are actually useful to us? Because they give you better gain and improvement in the bandwidth, high input impedance, low output impedance, better stability, and many more advantages. The reason behind the increase in the bandwidth is basically the use of Miller effect. So cascade amplifiers are generally constructed using BJT circuits or FET circuits. Now, when we talk about the usual connection, one of the stage will be usually wired as a common source or a common emitter mode, and the other will be wired in terms of common base or common gate mode. So this is the way when we talk about a two stages network, normally we try to use a combination of common emitter and common base or common source and common gate circuitry. So let's have a look at a circuitry. So here we are having a circuitry. On the left hand side, you can see there are two transistors used, Q1 and Q2. The top section is a VCC supply. So on the left hand side end of the transistor, you can see there are three resistances, R1, R2 and R3. So they are forming a part of the voltage divider or the potential divider network, where the drop across voltage R3 will be the biasing voltage for Q1 transistor, and the drop across combination of R2 and R3 will work like a DC biasing voltage for the Q2 transistor. If you observe the lower transistor Q1, the input will be connected to the base of the first transistor with the help of a coupling capacitor. The RE will be bypassed to support higher gain. And then if you look at the top transistor Q2, you will find at the base point a capacitor CB, which will be shorted to ground. So this will ensure that the network is grounded during the AC. And for the top transistor circuitry, you can see it will be input to emitter and output from collector. So at the collector end, we are having the coupling capacitor CC2 and then connected as a load RL, and you are getting the value as VO. So if you observe, it's a combination of common emitter and common base configuration. Now, when you look at the AC equivalent circuitry, the AC equivalent circuitry can be realized in terms of hybrid pi model or even hybrid model or any other suitable model which is representing your transistor. So if you look at the top section, you can see the resistances R2 parallel R3 between the base point and the ground point. So if your observation is sharp, we don't have R1 in the AC equivalent because R1 is basically redundant for the AC circuitry. At the output end of the first transistor, that is the collector 1, you can see the current source GM Vpi1, and the collector of the first transistor is connected to the emitter of the second, and the base of the second transistor is connected to ground. So if you observe Rpi2, it will be present between the base and the emitter, but the voltage polarity of Vpi2 is top point minus and the bottom point as plus. Between the collector and the emitter, we have the current source representing GM2 Vpi2. At the output end of the collector, we are having RC as well as RL. So now when you get the voltage gain of this entire circuitry, the voltage gain of the entire circuitry will be approximately equal to minus of GM into RC parallel RL. So if you observe, this gain is as good as the gain of a single stage BJT, which is as good as a high gain. So the biggest advantage that we get here is in the concept of cascade, we are able to go for increment in bandwidth due to the effect of Miller. Now, when you look at the lower section circuitry, it is actually an AC equivalent circuitry. The only difference being, instead of using the hybrid pi model, we are representing the hybrid model. So now for the transistor between the base and the emitter, instead of RPi, you will have HIE, and between collector and emitter, instead of GMVpi, it will have the value HFEIB. On similar lines, between the base and the emitter, for the second stage, you are having HIE and the current source from collector towards emitter. So if your observation is sharp, the overall representation in both the cases is the same. The value of your gain in both the cases will also be same. So that's the logic of getting the total voltage gain of the cascode network. Now, if I go for the equivalent circuitry shown, you can see the Q1 and the Q2 transistor, one in common emitter logic, other one in common base logic. The input impedance will be in the form of R2 parallel R3, and the output impedance will be in the form of RC parallel RL. So when I find the total voltage gain, which is going to be VO by VS, it will come as minus of GM RL dash, where RL dash is basically RC parallel RL. So overall, if you try to analyze the circuitry using the hybrid pi model or the hybrid model or the RE model, in either of the cases, the definition of voltage gain for the cascode will remain the same. And I repeat, the gain of the cascode amplifier, which is basically a two-stage network, is as good as the gain of a single stage common emitter amplifier. But what advantage do we get from cascode? We are able to go for higher bandwidth compared to a normal single stage BJT. So that's the reason cascode amplifiers are normally known as high gain, high bandwidth amplifiers. Now in this arrangement, we are trying to just see how a cascode can be realized using an FET circuitry. So if you observe, there are two FET circuits, the lower FET and the top FET. The lower FET is having input to the gate terminal and output from the drain terminal. And for the top FET, the input is at the source terminal and the output is from the drain terminal, and the gate terminal of the second MOSFET will be grounded under AC. So it is as good as a combination of common source and common gate configuration. So here you will find the arrangement of cascode using an FET circuitry. Now the next category of amplifier we are trying to study is basically called as a Darlington amplifier. Now what is basic difference between a Darlington transistor and a normal transistor? A normal transistor will have three terminals, collector, base and emitter. And also the Darlington transistor will have three terminal, collector, base and emitter. So overall, if you observe, the terminal representation for both the transistor remains the same. So how they are different from the normal transistor? Here, if you see the capsule of a Darlington transistor, you will find inside the structure, you will have two transistors present. So this is the basic difference between a normal transistor and a Darlington transistor. A Darlington transistor will have two transistors present. So if that is the case, let's understand how the logic is being developed. If you observe the diagram carefully, Darlington transistors are basically designed for very high current gain, and each transistor is going to contribute in that. They can be realized using two NPN transistors or two PNP transistors. So if you look carefully, the left hand side figure, the Darlington transistor is basically a three terminal device with three terminals, collector, base and emitter, where if you observe, the base current of the first transistor will work like the base current of the Darlington transistor. The collector current of the transistor is basically a combination of two collector currents, IC1 and IC2. And the emitter current of the second transistor will work like the emitter current of the Darlington transistor. So this structure was actually realized so that we can go for higher gain circuits. Now, the total Darlington beta will be defined as beta 1 into beta 2 plus beta 1 plus beta 2. But the overall beta can be approximated as beta 1 plus beta 2. On similar lines, when you talk about the measurement of VBE, the value of VBE, that is the voltage between the base and the emitter of the Darlington configuration, that voltage value will be equal to VB1 plus VB2. That will be approximately equal to twice of VBE1 or twice of VBE2, because we are assuming that both the transistors which are present inside the Darlington, they are actually in the form of a pair and they're having matched parameters effect. So if I see the match parameters effect, so beta 1 and beta 2, if I approximately make it same equal to beta, then the beta of the Darlington will be as good as beta square. So this is the feature of the Darlington transistor, if the normal transistor have a beta of 100, then automatically the Darlington transistor will have a beta of 10,000, because it will be beta 1 into beta 2, that will be equal to 100 square. So that's the reason Darlington transistors are normally defined as high gain, or you can say high current gain transistors. So this is the arrangement of the Darlington transistor in common collector configuration. So in common collector configuration, you can see the two transistors Q1 and Q2, where input is given to the base of the first transistor. Now the emitter of the first transistor is connected to the base of the second transistor. This is an internal arrangement, and the output end of the second transistor at emitter is going to be working like Vout, where we have connected a resistance Re. For the biasing effect, we are using potential divider bias, which will be having the components R1 and R2 connected to the VCC supply. So now if I go for the equivalent circuitry, where the input section will get replaced by the Thevenin circuitry, and if I apply KVL to the input loop, you will get VTH minus IB1 into RTH minus VB1 minus VB2 minus IE2 into RE equal to 0. On rearranging and replacing IE2 as 1 plus beta 1 into 1 plus beta 2 IB1, you will get the value of IB1 as VTH minus of VB1 plus VB2 in the bracket. The whole thing gets divided by RB plus 1 plus beta 1 into 1 plus beta 2 times RE. Also, IC1 is beta times IB1. IE1 is 1 plus beta 1 times IB1. The value of emitter current 1 is as good as base current 2. That is reason IB2 is going to be same as IE1. IC2 is going to be beta times IB2. IE2 will be 1 plus beta 2 times IB2. The value of VCE2 will be VC2 minus VE2. Since the collector is shorted to VCC, the value of VC2 will be VCC. The value of VE2 will be IE2 into RE. So this is how you can get the current and the voltage parameter of the Darlington circuitry. The circuitry shown here is basically an amplifier. So during the DC calculation, the capacitors will work like open circuit. And then the input section will get replaced by Thevenin. And then you apply KVL to the input and the output loop, and you derive the current and the voltage relations. So as I've said that the Darlington is going to be having a bigger current gain. So for that, we can see a small illustration. There are two transistors Q1 and Q2 with input current IB1. Then the output current of the first transistor will be IE1, which is 1 plus beta 1 times IB1, which will work like the base current 2, which is going to be IB2. Since IC2 is beta times IB2, the value will come as beta into 1 plus beta times IB1. The total collector current is going to be IC, which will be IC1 plus IC2, which will be as good as beta square times IB1. And the emitter current 2 will be 1 plus beta 1 into 1 plus beta 2 times IB1, which is now as good as 1 plus beta square times IB1, because we are assuming both the betas to be same. So this is the reason the Darlington transistor is normally defined as a high current gain transistor, because the normal current relation between IC and IB is beta, but here the gain factor is basically beta square. Now if I go for the AC equivalent circuitry, you can see the two transistors arrangement: collector 1, emitter 1, base 1, collector 2, emitter 2 and base 2, where the emitter 1 of the first transistor is directly connected to the base of the second transistor. So we are having R pi and GM pi for the individual transistor. The collector 1 and collector 2 are connected to a single collector terminal, which will be shorted to ground under AC. Between the base point and the ground point, you will have RB, which will be R1 parallel R2. And at the output end, we are having output across the emitter, where we are having the output notation justified with the output current flowing towards the ground point. So this is how you can represent a common collector Darlington circuitry in the form of AC equivalent, which will give you very high input resistance that will be measured between the base 1 and the ground point. The output impedance is going to be low, and the voltage gain, since it's a common collector configuration, will approximate equal to 1. So this is the basic advantage of realizing a common collector amplifier or a Darlington amplifier, which is under common collector configuration, which can be used as a buffer.